Well, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. I decided to break out the old mat today. So on the table in front of us is not a new knife. In fact, this is a knife that has had 2 or 3 iterations from Terrain 365 and Protech, like the one on the table. This is the Prometheus Design Werks Invictus. And this is a fantastic knife. Now, this is an auto, and here in California there are some challenges with owning autos, but I got this as a gift from Women Carry Knives while we were in Vegas a while back. And I meant to do a review as soon as I got home, but I just ended up carrying it so much that it became part of my regular rotation, and I didn't do it. So here it is. Before we do the full review, let's talk about owning automatics. Now, they're very cool in many ways, but particularly the way that Protech does them. This is aluminum, right? It has this fantastic red fire button, which is just awesome. This does have a lock on it, and you can lock it in the open position, and you can lock it in the closed position, which means it won't fire in your pocket when you don't expect it to. But this really wasn't going to do that anyway, because the button is totally flush with the aluminum scales. The scales are milled out for a little bit of texture right here to give you some grip, and of course it's got some jimping along the back, as well as a space for a lanyard if you're into that sort of thing. It's got a fantastic Protech deep carry clip with perfectly flush mounted screws. This thing just disappears in the pocket, and it's very, very snappy. Really is. I love this blade shape. I have a small, but seems to be growing collection of automatics. You guys know, if you've watched any of my videos, I only have one out the front that's ever really spoken to me. That, of course, is the Heretic Knives Manticore X here. I love this knife. I've had a bunch of Microtechs. I really just don't like the way the Microtech OTFs feel in my hand. There is something about the shape of this handle, which is similar but not the same to many other OTFs, that just make it very, very good for me, which is why I've kept it. Let's go ahead and move this up. Move that up. My other Protech that I keep handy as always is the fantastic California legal Calmigo. This is a knife that gets just a ton of pocket time because it is legal here in California, and it is a great fifth pocket or backup knife. This is a marvelous tool. Now, I know I said I don't have Microtech OTFs, but that's okay. I've got a couple of side-fire Microtechs that I absolutely love. The stitch here is probably one of the most comfortable and best beast mode knives I own. And if you guys have watched my channel at all, you know I have a lot of really big knives. God, this thing is fantastic. Let's move that up again. And then finally, I have probably the best, actually I have 2 more. One of the best slicers in my entire collection is the, that's actually got schmutz on it because this thing gets used a lot, is the Microtech LUDT. This is a fantastic pocket knife and one that should not be overlooked. This is a really old design. Microtech's been making these for, 20 years or thereabouts? I have a friend named Deepak who runs a knife shop locally who's got one of the originals, and it's virtually unchanged. It's got a really nice pocket clip on it, but the edge on the LUDT is just ridiculous. Now, this one is in 204p. This is M390. This is 154, CPM 154. 154 CM. This is S35VN, which brings us back to this, which is also in 154 CM. But I have one more auto that lives in my go bag. I've got the EXA01 by Hogue. Now, you guys will notice, for those of you that know my channel right away, this has got some, I know, I don't do knives that have serrations. I just don't. But this knife lives in my go bag, in my sort of oh shit, grab it and go bag, as it were. And so having some toothy serrations makes a lot of sense. And this Hogue is, the way the pocket clip is set up, some other things don't make it, for me at least, a particularly great carry, although it is a wonderfully sized knife. As a emergency tool, this thing is fantastic. And this was a gift from a friend of mine for a birthday a while back. So I will never get rid of it, and I found it a very useful home. There, that is, with the exception of a couple of Kershaws, which are out right now on loan to other people, this is my automatic collection, and it's not bad. You know, I mean, I've got a pretty good collection going here, right? I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, you know, I'm pretty happy with it. Why wouldn't I be? But when I was in Vegas and found this in PVK Vegas, I just knew that I had to have it, because this is everything I love about these others, with probably one of the best knife designs I have ever seen. It is a very neutral handle and an exceptionally useful blade. It's got plenty of belly up here to the tip. It is reasonably thick, but it comes down to a very nice edge because Protech knows what they're doing. It has a nice point on it in case you need to do a push cut. But beyond that, it's just a great everyday carrier and cutter. And so it really found a home in my small... And look, because I live in California and automatic knives are a little sketchy, I have to be sort of selective with what I bring in. As you can see, my tastes are all over the map. It's not one particular style. It's not one particular maker. It's just whatever works best for me. This is one of those. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of these away. This is such a good knife. God, that's good. Thank you, Chris, for this. I always have a hard time putting this thing away because I love it so much, but we're going to do it anyway. Let's focus on the Invictus. So what do you get? Well, you get 3 inches of cutting, right, on 3.5 inches of 154 cm. The grip area from behind the rise right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little bit. With that choil, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of handle. Now, for some of you, that's going to mean that the handle-to-blade ratio is wrong, but as a using tool, particularly one designed for times when you might be wearing gloves, all that handle just makes a ton of sense. The blade is stonewashed on the bevels, including the swedge up here at the top, and directionally satin on the flats, which is very cool. It has a fuller built into it, which, you know, looks cool. As I said, it's all aluminum with a steel clip. Protech really knows what they're doing, and this, of course, is no exception. This is just a great knife to use and carry. The knife overall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.25 inches long, which is a nice size for EDC. Now, there's a company called Terrain 365 that made one of these in their, I don't even remember what the steel was. It was some funky steel and all titanium. And would I love to have one of those? Yeah. Can you find one? No. So I'm going to be happy with this. And the few that I have seen out there in the world on the secondary market are going for a ton of money. It's a little bit like the Stitch. Would I prefer to have the full custom version of the Stitch? Yes. Do I want to pay $2,500 for one? No. So I'm happy with the auto version, and I'm happy with the auto version of the Prometheus Design Werks Invictus as well. I mean, why wouldn't you be? Let's do some size comparisons up against other knives that you may be a little more familiar with. Here it is against the full-size Griptilian. And as you can see, these knives are very, very similar in size, right? Grip is a little thicker, but very, very similar. Here it is against the Mini RSK MK1, which will stand in for the mini grip, as you can see. The Protech Invictus is bigger than that. What else should we compare it against? Here it is against the PM2. And again, very similar in size. You get a little more cutting on the PM2, and you don't say that very often with Spyderco's, but you do. You get a little more cutting surface on the PM2. Of course, this one's an S45 VN. Do I wish the Invictus here was a better blade steel? Yeah, I mean, 154 CM is great steel, but, you know, I wouldn't mind something a little better. Let's stay with the Spyderco theme. Here it is against the Para 3. This one happens to be in CTS 204P. I love this knife. It is a little tight in the handle for me, but still, this blade steel is just awesome, and I love it. The really, you know, of course, the place where the Invictus stands out, like most side-firing autos, is in the pocket. I mean, look at how much thinner it is in the pocket than the Para 3, right? It just disappears in the pocket, which is super nice. What else do we have on the table? Oh, here's something that I'll be doing a review of shortly. This is the full-tie ZT 0562. I'm not really going to do a review on it. I'm going to do a comparison of this versus the carbon fiber version that I have, and of course the full XM18. And we'll have a discussion about where I think you should put your money. The answer is, of course, everywhere, but anyway, there's something for this coming up. But again, these are very, very similar in size. The 0562's got a little length on it, and of course weighs quite a bit more. But this is a really... I hate to use the word average because it has a bad connotation, but this is a really average-sized pocket knife in all the right ways. It is a hell of a gift, and I am very grateful. But beyond that, it is just a hell of a pocket knife. Now, do I wish that they would make a manual version of this? I do. In fact, here's one that I forgot. I, of course, have another Protech. I have the full TR4, the Skull Edition. They do make a manual version of this that I had for a while, and I don't have it anymore, and I wish that I did. So I know they can do it. I know that they could make a button lock version of this, button lock with like a thumb stud. I think that would just be absolutely awesome. This is another great knife, by the way. Don't know how I forgot that while I was making the beginning of this video, but there, just in case, one more time. The Protech TR4, great pocket knife. Should you get one? Well, yeah, I mean, they're releasing them more and more, and if you live in a place where you can carry, without it being a concern, a large auto, absolutely look at this. They are about $300. They range in price from $295 to a little over $300, depending on where you find them. That is quite a bit of money for an automatic knife. It just is, considering you can get a Hogue or something, or even a bunch of other Protechs for, in the close to $200 to $250 range. But there's something special about the Invictus. There just is. It is, for all of its sort of average dimensions, it is a unique knife. And I think it's worth your time. Let's go ahead and weigh it before we get done here. Alrighty. I don't think it's going to be that heavy. Let's find out together. Yeah, 4 ounces dead on. Now, again, that is 4 ounces for 3.5 inches of 154 cm. But that's okay. You get plenty of handle. And again, it is an over 8-inch knife. So 4 ounces, not bad for aluminum. Let's go ahead and find out how much of that 154 cm they give you. Yep, that's not zeroed. All right, here we go. At the thickest spot, it is just over 3 millimeters, which is relatively average blade stock. It's so snappy. This is just a great, super comfortable, easy to use pocket knife that I absolutely think deserves your attention. And for the folks out there at Prometheus Design Werks, which by the way, PDW is a really cool name, make more of these. Make more manuals. I'll pay. I'll put the money in. I won't pay for the whole run, mind you, but I would pay for one of these in a full manual version. So if the folks at PDW are listening, and of course they are, why wouldn't, no, they're not listening, but on the off chance that they're listening, make me one of these in a manual, if you please. I would be very, very happy to have one. And that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. This is the Protech Prometheus Design Werks Invictus. It is a spectacular automatic knife. I hope you've enjoyed this look at it. I know I have enjoyed sharing it with you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.